Hey YouTube and Datsun followers, I hope you're having a good day and thanks for tuning in. So today I'm going to be installing a horn on the Z car. So I didn't have a horn before, not that I really overlooked it, but I just didn't have the time and I wanted to drive the car. But now it's off season, December, January timeframe here in Illinois, and it's time to install a horn to make the car a bit more street legal. So I bought this horn off eBay, very cheap. I think it came in a pack of two. I think it was like under $30. And I tested it out, made sure it worked. Definitely don't need two horns because just one is hella loud. It's going to let a person know to move. So this is the horn I got. I already tested it. And I'm sitting in the car because I wanted to go through how the horn circuitry work, because I was looking up videos and I saw a lot of people installing horns, but it just never really clicked into my head how or what makes the horn work when you touch on the button in the steering wheel. And I have a quick release steering wheel and I just didn't really understand how that worked, but I want it to work with the steering wheel. I don't want to have an extra button somewhere. So I'm going to show you how that works with a test before we go ahead and hook everything up. So this is the quick release. I don't have anything bolted in. This bolts to the Z steering column. I guess this would be the actual quick release because this goes on here. And this is what the steering wheel bolts to. So you take this off, then your steering wheel comes off. You got this. Now I'm going to take these nuts, or these bolts off. I'll just take one. Yeah, we'll take two. And hopefully I can explain this in a way that makes sense. So what we're dealing with on the horn circuit is we're basically dealing with the ground circuit. So this horn is going to get power from somewhere, anywhere, pretty much consistently. So you tie in a power wire from your accessories, so whenever you turn the key over or turn on all your accessories, this is going to get power. So now just think about the ground circuit. The ground is going to have a wire coming from all the way where this is mounted. It's going to be running all the way up here to this mechanism up here. So just the ground side. The power can be wherever else it is. It doesn't need to be run up here. Power is just wherever the power is coming from. And the ground is going to come up here, the ground only. The ground wire needs to be ran up the steering column, and I'm going to pull this off. The ground wire is going to be in contact with this brass ring. So they sell brass kind of mechanisms or horn mechanisms that are kind of spring loaded, and you mount this in some way to your steering column so that no matter where or you're turning, that ground wire, the exposed ground wire, is riding on this brass or copper, whatever it is, it's gold deal here. So in my case, I'm not going to buy that spring-loaded thing because I don't have much places to mount it. So I'm going to run a ground wire up here, thick gauged wire, just so it's more sturdy. And I'm going to zip tie it, and I'm going to bend that exposed wire on here, and it's going to make contact. Just that exposed wire is going to be making contact with this no matter how I turn it. So it's just going to be a ground from the back of this. It's going to be coming up and it's going to be touching the back of this. Okay, so we understand that. So this wire is going to be exposed back here. Make it tidy so you don't see it, but there's just going to be a ground wire rubbing against this. Now, you've got two wires coming from this. One wire is bolted to the inner part of this hub. This wire here, you can see it's bolted. Okay, this wire here, because it's bolted to this, is grounded to the car. Because the steering shaft is grounded, it's coming through here, it's getting bolted in, and this screw is ultimately grounded to the car. This wire here is connected to this ring. So this wire still has not touched the ground of the car. It's making its way past anything and not touching the ground of the car. Okay, so when you connect these two, they've got two bolts. I keep saying bolts, they're kind of screws that come to the front. So one side is from your horn, one side is from the grounded part of your chassis. They still have not touched each other. So you put this together, and you can see that that wire, you can see that one wire is connected to the brass here. Put this together. So now I've got this loosely bolted up. Now these two terminals up front are what's carrying our grounds. One side is the ground that's grounded to the car. One side is the ground from the horn, which has not touched the chassis of the car yet. Now, we've got the quick disconnect. It also has two prongs in the back that when you click this on, now they're making contact. So now that connection has made its way through here, and now it's got two more wires again. So the yellow wire, if you make sure you connect it correctly back there, yellow wire is the ground that's for the horn. Black wire is what's grounded to the chassis. Now, this is your horn button. This is what goes in the center of your steering wheel. Now, I don't have it on my steering wheel because it's just I'm just showing y'all what it's like. We'll once I get everything hooked up, we'll do a test for real. Now, it doesn't matter which prong you hook these up to, because what this horn button does is when you press it, it finishes the connection between these 2 points. And when that happens, your ground circuit from your horn finally sees the ground of the chassis, making it go off. So this whole time, this yellow wire has not touched the ground of the car. It's bypassed all of that grounding features. Now when you hook these in, so I can hook, it doesn't matter which one, that one's gonna slide on here, and this is one modification I have to do because I need a female terminal on this ground wire. When I touch these together, horn's not gonna go off because it's still, the button has not completed the circuit between the two. When you press the horn button, it's gonna connect the circuit. So I'm gonna show you with a continuity test. So I got a multimeter here. Pretty much all of them have the continuity tester, and if it doesn't, then I would suggest not getting it because I use continuity tests quite frequently. So what that is that it's going to tell you whenever you're touching 2 points that are on the same circuit. So when you do, it'll beep. So you can trace a wire from one place to another, and if it's the same wire, it's gonna beep. So I'm gonna show you how it works through the continuity tester. So black is gonna be my ground. So I'm gonna connect these two together. So pretty much this grounding side of the circuit. And this, imagine this is coming from my horn. So I'm gonna touch that brass part and the back of this, acting like it's the wire. It's just gonna be resting on there. I'm gonna try and do this. And whenever I get it, the continuity tester should go off because this red, let's see, it's not going off now. But when I press the horn button, it is gonna complete the circuit from this red prong that's touching the brass back here to the ground side. So I'm gonna go ahead and press it. See? It's now completing the circuit from that brass ring to the ground part of the car. So I know that took a while for me to explain, and the video is probably boring for those of you who understand it, but I didn't understand it, and I watched a lot of videos of people doing it. I just wanted to kind of actually understand how this is working. So I've already picked a location for the horn, and I'm not installing this for looks purposes because it's not that cool, it's a horn. So I'm gonna kind of hide it discreetly back under the bumper here. There is a bolt here or a threaded part there that I could bolt it right there and you could kind of see it from the front, but I don't really want that to be shown, so I'm going to bolt it to the back side. There's also an unused nut there, and so it's just going to be sideways like that, and that's how I'm going to bolt it in. Pretty simple. It comes with 2 brackets if you need them, but I don't really. I just need one, so I can just put them together, and that's how it's going to bolt into the car. Now, how I'm going to get power to it, I'm not going to run a new wire because I don't have to. Back of the headlight has power ran to it, or the side marker, and it's pretty good size gauge wire. So this red wire here is the accessory power for the headlight, and so whenever I turn the key over, it's going to get power. So I'm just going to tap into that power wire. Okay, so I got the horn wired in. I've got power, accessory power ran to the horn back there, and I've got the ground wire nicely ran through loom that was there. So ran through that loom, and I don't know how many of you who have ran wire through loom, especially existing loom. It sucks really bad. Pretty much your fingers go raw trying to slide it in there, but ran the ground through there and through the firewall, and now the ground wire is in the car. So we're going to go ahead and do a little test here. So this is the ground wire. It's obviously way too long, but essentially I'm going to cut it down, and like I said, this ground wire is what rubs against the back there. So we're going to do a quick test, and I'm going to turn the accessory power on. So it's over here, switch. So there's an accessory power going on, and now I'm going to go ahead and touch it to the ground. So I'm just bypassing the side that it should come up so I don't have to hit the horn. I'm going to touch the ground wire. We'll see if it works. There it goes. That's all it is. So now I just need to get this wire ran and organized and positioned to be touching that brass plate all the time, and then we'll be in business. So I'll talk to you in a minute. All right, so here's that ground wire, the slack, and I've got it zip tied on the steering column here. So right here, I've got a butt connector to a really thick gauge wire. It might be 10 gauge, somewhere around there, but this was like 14 gauge, and this is a lot thicker, probably double the thickness, because I wanted some strong wire to be able to keep its form pushed up against there. So I can bring this off, and I just kind of split the wires out like that, and then kind of positioned it. You had to use a little spacer. Positioned it so that whenever I slide this on, those wires are touching the brass there. So that's what it looks like. And now this is the wire that the brass is connected to, and you'll follow that circuit up. Typically you want this one to follow the yellow circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and get the quick release hub on and the steering wheel hub on, and we'll try it for the final install test run. So alrighty, it's the next day, because yesterday I could for the life of me not keep this horn button in its spot. It just kept coming out, but I did end up fixing it with the help of a little bit of Gorilla Glue and some pressure. And obviously it's working now because this is a clip I'm showing you, because it's taken like 30 clips. So the wires at this point, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter which side you connect them to, but it does matter through here. So typically you want to keep your yellow is the ground coming from the horn, and then your black is the ground to the chassis. So now I'm just going to go ahead and push this in here. Okay, now that that's pressed in, I can connect it to the steering wheel, quick release. Now it's connected. Now I just need to turn the accessory power on and hopefully it works. Horn's not going off constantly now, so that's a good sign. And there it goes. So we've got a working horn and it's working as designed. So yeah, this was definitely needed little project for the Z, and hopefully you guys learned something and it wasn't too boring talking through the wiring. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.